And good morning is 7:04 on this Tuesday, December 6th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello everybody and welcome here on a Tuesday morning. A little bit of rain is falling, but the temperature is nice out there this morning. And we welcome you to our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Tracy Pope is with us this morning, the Director of Community Relations for Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Always nice to see you and to get to talk to whomever you bring out.
Yes. So we skipped a week last month because we had 5 weeks in November, so it's good to be back.
Well, nice to see you and nice to see the two people you have brought in. We'll start introducing Jennifer Bradshaw, Program Director, Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital Inpatient Rehabilitation. Jennifer, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
Welcome to our program. And we have Maggie Slayton, Clinical Coordinator, Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital Inpatient Rehabilitation. Maggie, good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, Jennifer, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and I'm wondering, of course, how long you've been at Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. And
I've been at Vanderbilt Wilson County since April. I've been a LPN here in Lebanon since 1986, and I also have been an administrator at assisted living here in Lebanon. So I'm from Hartsville, but I have worked in Lebanon since '86. So Lebanon's like a second home to me.
Okay, all right. So from Trousdale County to Wilson County.
That's right.
Okay, Maggie, what about you?
Well, my name's Maggie Slayton. I've only been with Vanderbilt Wilson County since August of this year. Prior to that, I worked for about 10 years at Sumner Regional in Gallatin, and I'm from Gallatin, so I'm a Sumner County native. And I went to Cumberland University for my BSN. Mm-hmm. So I'm the clinical coordinator for our inpatient rehab, and I really like it, and it's a really fun change.
Okay, we've got a lot to talk about this morning. Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital Rehabilitation Services at McFarland Campus is Wilson County's only inpatient acute rehabilitation center. Now, what's the difference between an acute rehabilitation center and skilled nursing care centers?
Well, acute rehab, inpatient rehab, we give 3 hours, a minimum of 3 hours of combined therapy per day with physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And skilled care rehab is not as intensive as inpatient rehab, so not an acute hospital stay.
Well, Meg, anything you want to add to that?
Well, one thing I can say about inpatient rehab, in addition to the 3 hours of therapy, that includes physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. So it's not just one style of therapy that these patients are getting every day. And it's also different in the aspect for skilled nursing care is usually something that's not as intensive. And with physical therapy, we're trying to get these patients back to a baseline in a shorter amount of time usually.
We didn't talk about your educational background and your medical educational background much. Tell us about that. What did you have to do to be where you are right now, Megan?
Well, like I said, I was 10 years at Sumner Regional, and I first started out as a monitor watcher secretary tech. And I went to nursing school at Cumberland, and I worked night shift and doing 312s Friday, Saturday, Sunday, went to school Monday through Friday during the day. So after I had a very busy schedule. So after that, I started out the whole time I was in intensive care. So my background is primarily intensive care, and then for about a year I did neurosurgical intensive care. Mm-hmm. So coming to inpatient rehab is a totally different ballgame, but I feel like I have a plethora of knowledge from my past experience, even though it's not as long as Jennifer's.
Well, what about you, Jennifer?
I worked 25 years in skilled care, so that was my first job in Wilson County. And then I've worked mainly in senior care, but this is a little bit different for me, but I love it, and the people there are great, the therapists, the nursing staff, the best care that you could possibly receive.
Well, tell us more about the specially trained nurses and therapists in an acute care setting.
So in an acute care setting, you have primarily RNs and LPNs that are taking care of these patients on a day-to-day basis. Some of our nursing staff actually do have background in ICU. So they have all of the critical care thinking skills that you need for an inpatient hospital setting. Typically, the difference in skilled care and inpatient rehab is that your nurses have a larger background and they see more complex patients. So while we may be taking care of fewer patients and than on a skilled level, we are taking care of a more critical patient because these people are coming straight from the hospital, straight from a multitude of reasons for their diagnosis coming in, and they're just being taken care of in a very critical way, but not as critical as you would see in a nursing home. Hope that made some sense.
Okay. But I think to do what the two of you do, you have to be pretty dedicated to your profession, to the people that you are helping care for.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
The people who go into the nursing profession, the majority of us go in it because we care about people and we want to take care of people. And inpatient rehab, although is completely different from what I used to do, it's a different take on taking care of someone and you get to see them through their healing process. It's not like an ICU where they're super sick, you have them all these pressors and drips and you're on a ventilator or anything like that. You're seeing them on the after side. I've often wondered what happens to my patients when I was in ICU, and this is a lot of times where people end up. It is elective. It's not something that they are told to do. It's something that's encouraged by therapies, but it's very cathartic for us to see patients come in and see them get better in their physical strength, in their mental strength, everything.
And return home.
And what?
And return home.
Yes. Well, I guess that's the goal.
Yes.
To return home. So
Yes.
So you have a mission to accomplish. That being the goal with each one then.
In a short period of time.
In a short period of time. All right. Where are you located?
We're located at the McFarland campus, 500 Park Avenue.
And for new people who moved into this area, they may not be familiar with that. But for those of us who've been around for 100 years, that used to be the hospital. And we're talking about a long time ago when we only had one. That's where it was. And I guess it's a good thing that this area, this building facility there is being used and has a purpose. And all a part of Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, right, Tracy?
Absolutely. And, Vanderbilt acquired our hospital in 2019, and we are a 245-bed, two-campus acute care facility. So on our McFarland campus houses the inpatient acute rehab, which is what we're talking about today, and then also our behavioral health services. And it's located about 4 miles east of our main campus hospital.
Okay, for those who don't know. What about the amenities, private rooms? Let's talk about that.
Yes, all of our rooms are private and they're on the second floor. So we'd be glad at any point to give you a tour, give anyone a tour. They can just show up and we'll show them around. But all the rooms are private. They all are close. It's a small unit. We have 12 rooms and it's right next to the therapy department, so it's all self-contained. They're on the second floor.
Well, let's talk about the process for admission.
That's a pretty. It's kind of lengthy. Usually, we get the recommendations from the doctor at the hospital and the therapy, and they recommend inpatient rehab, and then that process starts immediately. They start with our medical director, Dr. Berry. He reviews all potential patients and make sure that they qualify for the inpatient rehab, that they can tolerate up to 3 hours a day. And then the intake also does a pre-certification for the insurance to make sure their insurance is going to cover their stay. And so once all that is complete, then the patient is admitted.
All right, how long does a patient typically stay?
As far as their length of admission, it depends on their insurance. So depending on their injury, their diagnosis, and what their insurance is, their insurance allots us amount of time for them to be able to remain in inpatient rehab. Dr. Berry and the entire team, including all of therapy, nursing staff, admissions, and case management, we have a team meeting every week to go over patients' progress. So if somebody is progressing past their goal of, say that they have Medicare and they were given 14 days. If they are good to go on day 12, well, then we send them home on day 12. But if we need to reevaluate, our case manager, her name is Danielle, and she is absolutely wonderful to work with. She will reevaluate, resubmit for insurance, and then see if we can get approved for further time. So it really depends on
Medicare sometimes approve an additional stay?
Yes. So we have all of the proper documentation. We have all of everything that we need to submit. And that's what Danielle does, is she is a miracle worker and gets all of that together so that we don't have to deal with the insurance side of things.
And then Danielle also gets them ready for discharge. She sets up any equipment they may need, any home health, outpatient therapy, anything that they need to continue on their progress of getting back to their independent level.
All right, one more thing here, we'll go to our break. How do you know if inpatient acute care is right for your loved one?
I think that there's a multitude of things that go into that, but the main thing is the qualifying for 3 hours of therapy a day. And it does not have to be 3 continuous hours of therapy, because I think that's a common misconception. They just have to be able to tolerate 3 hours a day, period. So a lot of the times the therapy, especially on that first day, will evaluate them, see where they're at, see what their baseline is, what they want to get to, because the whole goal is getting the patient to where they want to be.
And I think a common misconception for non-clinical people like me, if you have a loved one and they're saying 3 hours of therapy, that doesn't mean that you are running around the block for 3 hours. That means that you could be trying to dress yourself or brush your teeth or shower. I mean, that is included in the basic therapy of trying to get someone back to the standard that they were before their accident or their injury or their event.
Okay, we will take our break right here. A program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And it's 7:17. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford and the Lifetime Brake Pad Guarantee. With the purchase of a brake service, replacement brake pads will be provided at no cost for as long as the customer owns a vehicle. Bates Ford, 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. A lot going on. Give yourself extra travel time, especially 24 as it starts to build coming out of Rutherford County off through the Hickory Hollow area. It's been busy over here for a while. I-40 coming past the airport through Hermitage, Donaldson, Reg 40 eastbound. It's going to be near the South Loop. Right there near 2nd and 4th, right when you come off the South Loop. Nash Painting services all of Middle Tennessee. Check them out at nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck, you're on time traffic.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
As the month of December continues, an old foe comes to town. The Titans take on the Jaguars this Sunday at Nissan Stadium. Titans Countdown, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans, begins at 11. Then Mike Keith and Dave McGinnis bring you all the action with that kickoff set for noon.
Brought to you by Bakes and Hooker, Bates Ford, Steve Mall Plumbing, the Jewelers, and the City of Lebanon Gas in Tennessee. 811, call before you dig.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
At Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, world-class care is a heartbeat away. In fact, we offer the same world-class attention Middle Tennessee has come to rely on from a Vanderbilt Health Hospital. Supported by over 200 specialties, an expanded emergency department staffed with Vanderbilt Health physicians 24/7, and greater investments in life-saving technologies and care. It's just one more way we're making healthcare personal.
Contact Stephen Lowry Land Clearing for all your land clearing needs. Whether it's clearing trails for ATVs, reclaiming pasture, or clearing your land of brush and trees, Stephen Lowry can get the job done. He works closely with customers, adjusting to make changes as you want. Steve Lowry will give you quality work at a price that you can afford. He will also beat any written estimate. Call Stephen Lowry at 615-970-8154 for all your land clearing needs. That's Stephen Lowry Land Clearing, 615-970-8154.
Coleman and Company here on a Tuesday morning. Our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Tracy Pope is here as always, and today we have Jennifer Bradshaw, Program Director, Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital Inpatient Rehabilitation, and Maggie Slayton, Clinical Coordinator, Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital Inpatient Rehabilitation. Now, we've had a good discussion here so far, and we want to just kind of pick it up here. Where are patients referred from?
Typically, our patients primarily come from a hospital acute setting. So someone can come directly from an ICU, they can come from a med surge, a telemetry floor, cardiac floor. We get patients from all over. Some of our outlier non-typical patients can come from home. That's not something that is necessarily frequent, but they can also come from a skilled nursing facility. I think we've had a couple of people come from skilled nursing just since I've been there.
And we've had a few from assisted living, maybe that went to the hospital and then came to rehab and then returned back to assisted living.
And you have people who have been badly injured, hurt, as well as people who are pretty sick.
Yes.
Okay. And deal with that, helping them recover. And again, as we said earlier, your idea is to get them where they can go home.
And what type of patient do you typically see? Like, tell us about what type of injury or what event that they have had.
A lot of our patients, they can come in with a traumatic brain injury, they can have a stroke, they can have some kind of cardio issue,
Hip fracture.
Yeah, a lot of orthopedic patients. I'm trying to think of some other
maybe motor vehicle accidents.
Well, what type of special equipment and modalities of therapy does your team utilize? Jennifer, you want to tackle that one?
I'm going to let Maggie handle that one.
So from the therapy side of things, we have a multitude of equipment. We have 2 separate therapy gyms. We have an occupational therapy gym, and then we have a physical therapy gym. Just a quick difference in occupational therapy and physical therapy. Physical therapy is what you think it is. It's dealing with the physical strength of the patient, trying to get them stronger. Occupational therapy is the type of therapy that we use for ADLs, or activities of daily living. So that is what Tracy was talking about earlier with the brushing your teeth, getting ready, taking a shower. Occupational therapy helps you do that. And that's included in that 3 hours of therapy a day. So kind of reiterating what she said, we ain't running around the block. I can't even do that for 3 hours a day. We don't expect somebody who's come from the hospital to be able to do that.
And we also have a kitchen area that occupational therapy uses to work on maybe preparing meals for home, that kind of activity as well. And then they also have a car, like a makeshift car that they work on getting in and out of the car, that kind of thing.
Some rather simple things that you're trying to accomplish in those situations.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, let's change our discussion just a little bit here. Now talk about some common facts concerning stroke. And we hear about stroke a lot. Stroke is pretty common, I think, and I bet you deal with that, with people suffering from stroke, effects of stroke, almost on a daily basis, do you not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what are some common facts concerning stroke?
So a common acronym that we use is something called FAST, and it is to reiterate what you need to know when you think someone's having a stroke. And FAST stands for face, arms, speech, and time. And it's knowing the warning signs. So when we're talking about a face, you're looking at the patient or person, even if you're at the grocery store and you notice somebody acting weird, you're looking at their face to see if it has symmetry. Is one side drooping? Are both of their eyes equal? If you're looking at their pupils, is one extremely large, the other one is small? As far as their arms go, how is their strength? Are they able to squeeze both of your hands equally? Can they lift one arm? Are they not able to lift the other? As far as speech goes, do they have slurred speech? Are they having difficulty speaking? Sometimes that's referred to as word salad, where you can't get the right words out. And time is making sure that whenever something is occurring and you're noticing these symptoms happening, you call 911 immediately. If you're in a hospital setting, you call a code stroke or a code fast. So early intervention is the best thing for stroke.
How much do you deal with that? We were talking about it being a pretty common thing. You deal with people who are suffering from strokes on a, if not a daily, a weekly basis?
We do deal with it pretty frequently, but not necessarily the onset of a stroke. Most of the time, our inpatient rehab patients have suffered a stroke, and they're coming to us after they have already had this early intervention. They've been in the hospital setting, and now we're trying to get them back to their new baseline or to their baseline if possible.
Well, that's something we might spend a little time on here. We've got about 4 minutes left here, but I've known people who just out of the blue, they have a stroke and they're never the same again. I mean, some of them will get back maybe almost to where they were, but some others are pretty much different to some degree for the rest of their life. And I guess it's the severity of the stroke and how soon maybe intervention can take place. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's very correct. Another thing that you have to think about with a stroke is where the stroke has occurred in the brain. So if someone has a frontal stroke, which is the front part of your brain, a lot of times that can affect their personality, their speech drive, their communication. But where if you have a stroke in a separate part of your brain, the general rule of thumb is if you have a left-sided stroke, it affects the right side of your body. And if you have a right-sided stroke, it affects the left side of your body. There's a whole lot of different things that can factor into that. So make sure that if you're smoking, you stop. Smoking is one of the first and most detrimental things that you can do to cause a stroke. Heart problems, atrial fib, those are all things that can go into your risk factors for a stroke. So talking about that, we could get into a lot of detail about, which I know we don't have the time for, nor do I have the multitude of knowledge that we probably need.
But some people will recover and maybe almost get back to normal, if not 100%, 98 maybe. Others are not so fortunate. Why is that?
I think it has to do with where the stroke occurred, and it has to do with a lot of their risk factors as well. Obesity, AFib, smoking, hypertension, or high blood pressure, all of these things can affect your recovery after a stroke. And just the overall health and well-being of who you are now versus who you are after a stroke, it definitely has a lot to do with it.
And also the time part of this, if someone waits, I know lots of us, we have things that happen to us. We're like, oh, we're just going to wait that out. That is such a huge factor in preventing the long-term effects from a stroke. And like Maggie said, once they get to rehabilitation, they have probably already had the stroke. But in the rest of our hospital, all of our nursing staff, all of our clinicians have to be aware of the signs and symptoms of a stroke because that can happen after another event. So that has happened in the hospital, and that's the best place for something to happen while you're already in the hospital. But most of the time this does happen with a family member or just while someone's at home. And the faster that you can seek care, the faster we can prevent the long-term effects.
Okay, I think we've got time for me to ask one other thing that I'm wondering a little bit about here. What part does age play in someone having a stroke and the recovery and so on? Are your chances, the younger you are, the better your chances necessarily, or what about somebody 80 years old that has a stroke?
If there's somebody that's 80 years old and is in fairly good health and doesn't have a lot of comorbidities or different things affecting them, then your chances are pretty good, but it also depends on where the stroke happens. So you and I mean, we're obviously a little different in age, but a stroke could affect me a lot worse than it could you. It just really depends on where it occurs in the brain and everything else that your health has going for you.
Well, I've enjoyed our discussion this morning, and Maggie Slayton, thank you for being with us, and Jennifer Bradshaw, it's good to have you.
Thank you
and
for
to know
having
that
us.
We have such wonderful people over there to take care of us, and as usual, Tracy, we let you have the last 30 seconds.
Well,
here.
I feel like we could talk 30 more minutes about all of this, but I would just like to say, we talk about Vanderbilt investing in our community, and one of our most recent investments is bringing a neurologist here to our campus. So we now have a neurologist on site that can take consults from our emergency department with patients very similar to what we've been talking about today. So we're really excited to bring that additional service to our hospital and happy to share it with our community.
Okay, thank you all for being with us today. That is part one of Coleman and Company, presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. We hope you'll stay with us for more right here on FM 98.9.
All right, let's see what's happening on the roadways. 7:29 now, and it's all brought to you by Absolute Kubota. High performance, high horsepower, 0% financing is still a thing. Now is the best time to save on new Kubota L-Series tractors, rated #1 for durability and owner experience in the U.S. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Several accidents out here. Best advice I can give you, just give yourself plenty of extra time. It's heavy where you would expect 40 westbound, just crawling sometimes past the airport there, up through Hermitage as well. Coming in from Wilson County, 65 still slow southbound at Trinity Lane. I see it starting to slow down a little bit here on 40 East through Kingston Springs. Coming out of Dixon County, just give yourself extra time. Nash Painting services all of Middle Tennessee. Check them out at nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
Hi, I'm Mayor Rick Bell.
And I'm Sarah Haston, your Economic Development Director for the City of Lebanon.
And we're asking each of you to shop Lebanon this Christmas season.
Are you ready for the hustle and bustle, Mayor?
Absolutely. 'Tis the season, and I'm ready to get everyone checked off my list by shopping Lebanon and shopping small.
Well, it's definitely important to support our Lebanon business community.
Indeed. Our Lebanon businesses are the backbone of our community, and they support us all year.
That's right. Let's show some local love at Christmas. We are asking everyone to commit to give back by shopping your local retailers here in Lebanon.
Have a Merry Christmas from all of us at the City of Lebanon.
Thunderstorms are looking possible today, so don't be caught unprepared outside. We will see a high of 68 falling to 62 this evening. Look for more rain on Wednesday and Thursday with temperatures staying in the 60s. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm number 1 Ned.
Coleman and Company on a Tuesday morning. Welcome to part 2. We're ready to talk about Hearthside Senior Living. It's a retirement and assisted living community at 215 Castle Heights Avenue North here in Lebanon. And Betty Kelly is the activities director, and she's here to talk about it this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, I got a big heads up yesterday from Sean Dozier. He says he's on special assignment. He didn't really say that, but it is a special assignment because it has to do with him continuing education or recertification or something like that. So he's there and you're here, right?
That's right.
Well, let's talk about what you do as activities director. An important thing that you keep people kind of busy and talking to each other and give them something to do.
Right.
Yes.
Especially this time of year. I mean, throughout the year, we have a lot of things going on, but in the month of November, December, January, it seems to be the months that a lot of residents are kind of down because of the holidays coming, and their families maybe can't be there, and so they get a little depressed.
But and you have to make it more like family.
I make it more yes. And so for me, I think it's one big happy family there anyway. And but during those times, it's even more special. So we try to do a lot of things that incorporate them in with the activities, of course, and have volunteers come through the month to entertain. So it's been quite busy. Last night we had the Balladore Dance Studio, some ballet students that came and danced for them. Tonight we have the Evergreen dance or cloggers,
yes.
which are always fantastic.
That's the bunch that Johnny Payton started years ago.
Yes, it's so wonderful, and we have some singers coming now on Thursday. Though is a little more special. It's our Christmas dinner for our residents, and so we have Dennis Rader coming to entertain. He's a local person in the Nashville area, so it's going to be quite fun. So the whole month we have a lot of people that are coming, choirs and entertainers and people, bringing things for residents. So it's really great.
Well, let me ask this: Do you seek these people out necessarily, or a lot of them come to you and say we would like to come and participate?
Yeah, they're mostly they come to me.
Yeah. Well, that makes your job a little easier.
Yeah, it does make it a little easier, but it's just a lot of them have a history with coming to Hearthside, so they'll call me every year a couple of months ahead and let me know that they're going to come, and I'm like, yes. So
but the fact that you are able to do this and to provide some extra entertainment or something for the people to do, it takes their mind off of maybe seasonal blues or that sort of thing.
That's right, and that's the idea. So we have quite a list of things that happen, but mostly we want it to be a family environment. So it's really nice.
Well, your retirement community, of course, is part of Hearthside, but they're
is.
kind of down there to themselves. I guess they're welcome if they want to. Is this sort of an optional thing with them to participate with your
with the events that are going on? Well, we always encourage for them to come up, but mostly they do their own thing, and we do have stuff for them. Also, we go on trips to different places. A lot of restaurants and shopping, but they also have a party for the residents that live there during the holiday season. So it's
okay. So they're with you part of the time. Part of the time they're on their own.
Exactly.
But you're the activities director, regardless.
Right. Yeah.
All right. I think Sean was here last week. You said you were full up.
Yes.
And that's a good
Both
thing.
places.
And you have a waiting list, of course.
We do.
And people are encouraged, especially with assisted living, to get on the waiting list because you don't know when you might need it. And if you're on there, there's a little priority involved rather than not having your name on there at all. So that's something to consider.
Yeah.
But
first come, first serve, I guess.
But it's really, Hearthside's been a great success, and with assisted living since 1994. The retirement community, of course, came much later, but I don't know how much better success it could be because you have an even longer waiting list for it. All right, are you ready? Do you have a Hearthside hello this morning?
I do.
All right.
I have a Hearthside hello to actually one of our residents, and it's Connie Benzer, and she is going to have her birthday tomorrow, and she will be 98, I believe.
Oh, wow.
But she's getting up there, but she's
Connie?
Connie Benzer.
Connie Benzer, right.
She has
happy
actually been
birthday.
at Hearthside about the same time as I have for 10 years, so she's a pretty special resident.
All right. Well, Betty, it's really nice to have you here today, and I don't think we've missed a beat not having Sean here, but we wish him well in his endeavor today, and I guess he'll be back next Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll be back next time he says go be on Coleman.
Yeah, and it'll be real nice to be here.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Betty Kelly, Activities Director for Hearthside Senior Living. It is a retirement assisted living community at 215 Castle Heights Avenue North. Telephone number 615-443-1994. It's Hearthside when it's time for a helping hand. Thank you much. Okay, we're 21 before the hour, and Director of Schools Jeff Luttrell joins us this morning. That is the Wilson County Director of Schools. We had, I believe, had a board meeting last night, Jeff, right? And good morning. We've probably got a lot to talk about this morning, and we'll get to the board meeting in a moment. But I think something has happened that's been worked on for about 2 years, and that's the fact that you finally got a school up off the ground and running again, and that's good news and something you probably want to talk about and excited about.
We are, yeah. Stoner Creek, we moved our kids in. First day of school for them in their new building was last Monday, and it is, it's been a long, almost 2 years since we started building. You go back to the tornado. And just exciting time, a really smooth transition. You got them out of the portables and back to their location.
Well, that's one reason I mentioned that is the change that this brings about. Of course, this is a permanent thing now, and it's been temporary. But you've had portables. Did anybody actually change schools?
No. We moved them from the portables in the one wing that they were occupying and what was left of West Wilson, and got them in their permanent home. And I was there Monday, and really exciting. I walked down the hallway and made a point to make sure I got to go watch them on the playground, something they hadn't had. Previously they'd been just makeshift with around that portable city kind of, and to see those students and to watch their faces and then their teachers, as we moved that process where we allowed them a couple of days to move in and being down there around them and watching them, a lot of emotion, but good emotion, a lot of excitement, and it's a beautiful building. There will be a ribbon cutting there on Sunday, 2:00, for anyone that would like to see the building.
This
coming Sunday, it'll be the 11th. We've got them in there, and they're having school again in their own home, and it's a really good moment for Wilson County.
I would imagine parents are maybe a little somewhat relieved, and just the idea of getting out of portables into your permanent new. And it's really all new, isn't it?
It is. It's all new. Well, the gym, we tied to the gym. We redid the gym and tied the new building to the gym that was existing. But yeah, there was, Monday morning, you could sense, and they've expressed how thankful they are. I mean, we were in a very tight space with a lot of construction going on around. So to get those kids, just that's one of the greatest things about it now, the safety part of it. But it's really fun watching those kids and the emotions they have and interacting with their teachers in their new building.
What grades we got here?
It's a K-5, K through 5, and there's 800 students approximately in that building, and took a long time, and there was a lot of emotion. I think how that you think about 2 years in a child's life, that's a major impact, and so there's been a lot of hard work, a lot of people to thank, but we did pull it off, and we're in the new building, and we're moving forward with West Wilson as well.
All right, let's talk just for a minute about the other, which is a lot behind this. You couldn't do two at one time, or haven't anyway. It's coming along.
It is, yeah. They've started laying block. Of course, this week we'd been real fortunate here in this fall and winter as they've moved along that project. Of course, this week will kind of slow it down. But yeah, the gym walls are almost up, and we've got a lot of foundations in, and you're starting to see them lay block on that project.
What kind of time frame, general? You got it at least in the back of your mind when you might get this one off and running.
Well, the contract on this one is, again, it's a 2-year contract, but a lot of it depends upon the weather. Of course, we're going to push. Construction company's going to push, and contractors, we're going to push as soon as possible, and you'll see a lot of work going on. But it is a 2-year contract, so but we're hoping that we can bring it in under. Stoner Creek was brought in under 3 months from what time. So right now if we can get good weather, and if the supplies chain will hold. We had a few minor issues on Stoner Creek, but we're going to get in as soon as possible.
Okay, last night you had a board meeting. Any big items from that you want to start off with here?
We did. It was a regular board meeting, and there were some things that we brought and the board took action on. One thing I do want to mention is I made a recommendation to add some sick time and personal leave time for classified staff. Teachers have always, we've received, I think teachers, you get one sick day a month. And for years, our classified staff has only gotten 3 sick days and 2 personal in a year. And one of the things we've learned through COVID is that's a benefit. So coming out of that, we sat down and looked at what can we do, because we're struggling with filling classified staff positions. And I had some classified reach out to me and say, we'd like to have more time off for sick time. So we've made that recommendation. It passed right through. It was unanimous, and that's a sign. In this budget cycle that's coming up, we're going to have to look at their pay. But this is something we could do now to let them know, hey, we do hear you. And so that passed, and I think that's a good move for our school system. That puts them at 1 sick day a month as well. So that was a move that I really felt strong about, and our board did too.
They're the same as the teachers then?
They are.
1 sick day a month?
Yep.
Okay.
And so that's a benefit, and the board was unanimously in support of that. And so just really I hope the message is there that people understand we are looking at everything we can do to support our employees, to make their benefit pay better, because that has become an issue. And now the next thing we've got to do is we've got to go in, and we're working on this, looking at our classified staff pay structure and the amount of money we pay them an hour. We've got to improve that.
Okay, our Director of Schools, Jeff Luttrell, is my guest this morning. We're going to take a little break right here and talk more in a moment on Coleman & Company, FM 98.9.
And it's 7:46. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford, that regular oil change, $34.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, $16.73 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still running slow over here on 65 southbound as you approach Trinity Lane. We've had a series of accidents over here near Dickerson Pike as well. People are looking at that southbound on 65. Again, coming down from the north. It's pretty busy out here on I-40 right now, eastbound, trying to get through Kingston Springs, coming in from Dixon County. Keep that in mind. Wilson County traffic's pretty heavy, or should I say, once you come out of Wilson County there into Hermitage, it starts to slow 40 west before you get up to the airport. Nash Painting services all of Middle Tennessee. Check them out at nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
And now, a moment of silence to remember our dear friend.
Sorry. Oh, man.
Life can be uncomfortable. Your home doesn't have to be. With a wide range of air conditioners, furnaces, and heat pumps, Rheem makes it easy to feel comfortable, even when you can't be comfortable.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
I can't believe I just scratched that card. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Insurance with a local agent? It's called service. Call me, State Farm agent Jeff Gannon, in Lebanon or Mount Juliet today.
Middle Tennessee's largest, longest running, and most affordable holiday tradition, the Dancing Lights of Christmas, is now open with new lights and new music so you can create some new Christmas memories. For 2.5 miles, your family will be captivated as you watch over 2 million lights dance perfectly in sync to rockin' Christmas tunes, all from inside the comfort of your own vehicle. Stop by Santa's Village for food and fun, pictures with Santa, even a helicopter ride above the lights. 5 p.m. nightly at the Wilson County Fairgrounds. More info at thedancinglightsofchristmas.com.
Coleman and Company here on this Tuesday. We welcome you if you're just joining us, and we're certainly happy to have Jeff Lundgren come about once a month. Try to make it after each Board of Education meeting. There was one last night, and we've talked so far. If you just joined us, we talked about the opening of Stoner Creek and a real great start for the new school there, which was a week ago Monday. You're now in the second week there, and you did say you're going to have a grand opening or open house this coming Sunday.
There will be a ribbon cutting and open house Sunday at 2:00 if anybody would like to attend and see it and get to see the building.
All right. And then last night you did vote more sick time a day a month instead of 3 a year or something for personnel, not teachers, but the other support people.
That is correct. And then also I brought to the board, we've paid all the bills at Green Hill. That project is closed. And of course there's bond money left over, $736,000. So, that is still in the hands of the county commission. So we've made a budget request to return to the county commission, which will be going this week to Education Committee, and have asked them to allow us to use that bond money for a project at Wilson Central, which would include a new hitting facility and restrooms and locker room for their girls softball team. And that was, had a lot of discussion over that, but the board did approve that, and we'll be going back to the county commission to see if we can use that bond money.
So it's ultimately up to them to allow this, but this is money that was left over that's been appropriated for schools. You're wanting to use the leftover for something else good for the school system.
It is, and the way it works, that bond, you have to get into the bond resolution, the language, and it was written for high school. And, state law gets involved with what you can do with that. But yes, that money is actually, it's the taxpayers' money. And, but county commission controls that. So we have asked them for that. We will be asking for that, to return that.
How much is that needed?
Well, we're trying to secure the funding. Then we've got some just rough estimates. It's really hard to say how much it's going to cost because we got to design and there's regulations on what you've got to do for design and all. But it's something we need. And then if there's any of that left over, we put in the language and requested that if we can do it under that, we would also like to take the remaining. We've got some tennis court issues around the county. If you remember, several years ago, built tennis courts, and there's some repairs need to be done. And so we're going to have to do them regardless, but there was an opportunity because that is capital bond money that must be used for these type of projects, and it must be at the high school level. So there was a lot of discussion about that, and we just want to make sure that we are transparent and try to use that money for what it was intended. And but ultimately that'll be up to the county commission. They've been wonderful in my tenure. I'll be honest, it's been very supportive. But we're trying to get out in front of that and say, okay, here it is. Here's what we'd like to do, and ask for their approval for that.
Right. Okay. Other action last night?
Probably the other action that's going to get the most attention. We've had our board months ago. We put into place a policy to review our library resources. That's a big topic, and that committee's been working. Previously, there have been 11 books brought went through the committee process and the review process with recommendations brought to the board. And for the most part, up until this point, they had decided to put those books on a mature reading where it required a parent permission for their child to read that book. And last night there was 2 books that came forward that after a lot of discussion and from the board and the committee, they had made a recommendation that it was mature reading, but did acknowledge that they had a real hard time with some content in the books. And so the end result was the board voted to take those books out of circulation of our library, and they won't be on the shelf. So that's going to gain a lot of attention, and as it should. This is a hot topic in our, not just here, but around the country. So the board did approve to do that, and I will, of course, follow up with that this morning and make sure those books are not on the shelf.
Okay. Is that a pretty hot issue?
It is. There's various viewpoints on either side of it, and everybody brings up. One of the things we're seeing is First Amendment and freedom of speech and those things, and you have those concerns. But I just listening says I listened to the board. I think it was pretty strong message that there was some content in those books that a lot of people felt like was not age appropriate for our students, and so that's why the decision was made.
Okay. Well, I guess that's enough on that. Other things from the meeting that we might mention?
That was it. That was the main topics. We're still looking for bus drivers and classified staff, EAs. We do have some openings for some EAs in some of our buildings, and then bus drivers. We're working on that to try to provide more drivers so we can keep routes running.
I think it made the news from Trousdale County that either last week or yesterday or sometime just in the very recent past that they had to do away with one bus route. It might only have been for one day or something, but have we got that bad yet?
Well, we do have some down routes every day,
Yep.
just where we don't have enough drivers to cover, and we're shuffling. People are in there working early, trying to cover routes, and now we're starting to look at combining some routes occasionally. As we workforce, it's a nationwide shortage of workers, and it's impacting our transportation. So if you're sitting out there and you've got a CDL, we'll give you more sick time, and we'd love to bring you to Wilson County.
How, if you don't and might be interested in that, is that a difficult certificate to obtain? I have no idea.
Well, the big thing is the CDL. Of course, but we will hire you or bring you in and train you, pay you while we're training you. But the process is, it can be a 6 to 8 week process because you have to have hours behind the wheel. But we actually have a trainer that will get you certified through CDL. It's much easier if you come in with a CDL, but we will.
Do you get paid while you're doing?
You do get a fee while you're training for that. Yes, so that's just.
Well, for somebody that would aspire to be a bus driver, I mean, I'm just from what you're telling me here, it doesn't get any better than this. You're getting paid, maybe not as much, but you're getting paid to come and train and learn, and they're going to see that you get certified if you work right.
That is correct, and so we've got a lot of people that we have done that with.
Yeah.
I've got teachers driving routes that have went through the training, and they're now teaching school plus driving a route in the morning and the afternoon. We got several of that. So
have you driven one yet?
I've not. I've done a lot of things in my career, and probably when I get finished, that's going to be one thing I regret that I didn't get my CDLs and drive. I've rode a lot of buses in my career, but there's still that need, and we're working diligently at it and looking at every solution possible because our kids need to be in school and we want to transport them.
Well, Jeff, let me ask something else because I'm just thinking about bus drivers here. Most of your when you play sports and especially basketball, don't the teams go in a school bus and you have drivers for that?
We do a lot of times, but something that's happened over the years. If a team's got to leave at 4 o'clock, we may not have a bus available. So one of the things started several years ago, we have a policy where we have approved drivers. For a lot of times it's parents or coaches, and they have to have a certain level of insurance and be background checked and all that. So now you're seeing a lot of our teams that are being transported by parents and coaches instead of a bus. Now, my rule of thumb has always been the safest mode of transportation for students is a school bus. And so, but we've had to do that because this an issue of getting, if a bus is out on routes, we may not have a bus driver available to take that team. So that's an adjustment that's just happened over the last, it's been probably a 7 or 8 year process, but we're seeing that used more now.
Well, no doubt you as director and the members of the Board of Education are looking forward. You've got to, and we are growing. And we sort of reached a plateau at the moment with, what do we got, 5 high schools?
Correct.
How long before you're going to be thinking about another one, or are you already?
Well, we're looking at numbers. Right now, we've got some space in our high schools. How long will that space last? It's hard to determine that. Our biggest need right now is in our elementaries. We know that's where we've got a couple elementaries. West Elementaries, it's full, and you can see that without going in it if you just look at the traffic flow. So, but I think realistically, here in the next 4 to 5 years, you could see another need for a high school in this county if this population trend continues, and there's no reason to think it's not going to.
Well, but an elementary school would probably be the next elementary or middle, or
right now elementary. We've got that issue at West, and also we're watching that Glayville community. Rutland and Glayville Elementary kind of serve that whole section right there. And Rutland is becoming full as well. And we made some adjustments on zones this year to relieve Glayville Elementary. But what has happened, we put some of those kids at Rutland that were real close to Rutland, like within 2 miles. And so, but now that number shifted, and now we're pressuring Rutland, and Glayville's still continuing. You go out there and you see all the growth in the new homes. So these are just areas. Those are 2 areas that where an elementary school is going to be needed quickly.
Okay. Well, I guess that's a good note to end on here. It won't be long till it'll be the Christmas break here.
That's correct. I think it was the 20th. 20th is the last day for students, I think, if I remember correctly. And yet we're about got another semester and a half a school year down.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us. Hope to see you in January.
Thank you.
Jeff Luttrell, Director of Schools for Wilson County Schools. That's it for Tuesday. Hope you'll join us tomorrow. Till then, I wish you a terrific day.